Hey everyone, this is Two Left Thumbs. I'm Graham. I'm here with Zach.
Sorry, this hand.
Either one. I don't know. It's hard to see.
I just keep going.
I can't do the mirror image thing well. My brain. Even though I've done this so many times, I can't do that flip. We have been talking about getting together to talk about Batman
or anything,
or comics or whatever for years.
Literally years.
I had a Batman fan cast list. I think at this point Matt Reeves was already locked in as the director, like a year ago.
Yeah. And
I started making my fan cast list. And then, I don't know, we didn't do it for one reason or another. And then I opened it up a couple days ago, and it was like last accessed May 2018.
Yeah, checks out.
And I was like, holy shit, it was actually a year. But now all of a sudden with the legit possibility that we're going to start getting casting news right away, we did want to sit down and like try and talk about some of this.
Sober, too, because that's the other problem. We keep making plans when we're drunk.
Yes, that's true. And you and I already have a propensity for like conversations spiraling out as the last half hour
minutes,
has proven. But yeah, sober, clear thoughts. Try and get to the point. Do you have an online moniker that you always go by, or just call you Zach throughout?
Just Zach.
Okay.
Because like my Instagram is Zach Does Stuff.
Okay.
Twitter is like Zach1771, I think, or like Zach Sexton1771.
Do you have any? What's your website? We can plug your website too.
Also,
I would like to point people towards that.
Yeah, because I have like some of your 4,000 viewers. Dick. Yeah, I've got a website called Historically Hockey where I bitch and rant about hockey jerseys, and every once in a while I write about other stuff like comic books, wrestling, movies. Because I know I'm going to get into this when we talk about Batman. Because, oh god, I apologize if I just go fucking fiery promo at one point on fanboys because.
Me and my brother were talking last night because of the petitions to rewrite Game of Thrones and the petitions to get rid of Robert Pattinson,
who hasn't even been cast yet.
I think the internet should have its rights to opinions revoked.
Yeah, like
it's collective right. Individual people fine. This collective hive mind petition meme needs to stop.
Like, I think my favorite thing I saw with the petition was it was either a Beaverton or Onion article where it was. Game of Thrones writers create petition to get 500,000 lazy people to write their own goddamn TV show.
Right, yeah, my mom linked that to me because she thought it was legit. But, like, yeah, that was
perfect.
It was still a funny thing either way. Like, I don't know, I've done these sort of things before where it's just me in a room talking, and it's very easy to stay laser focused on whatever the next points are, so this might be more freeform than those other attempts to do similar types of videos. I don't know. I'm stoked. I think Matt Reeves is the guy. I think he's a perfect choice for directing a movie. I'm super stoked on that.
Like, I've been seeing it the last couple of days, and like, I haven't seen a lot of his stuff, but I know he did the last two Planet of the Apes movies.
Did you see all three?
Oh god, yeah. I think I saw the first two like multiple times in theaters.
Oh yeah.
But I can't think of the name of it because he decided to give way too many titles to them. Rise of the Attack of the Planet of the War of the Apes
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
or whatever.
and Apes 2. Because I've got a coworker who hadn't seen them when I was talking about the other day, and it was like it clicked. I'm like, oh my god, this guy's like a Batman. Like Apes 2. That might be the most just like on edge I've been for a movie in theater. Because
that one's I still love 3, but it was like I loved the first one more than it seemed like most people did.
I think I fist pumped when he spoke.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorite movie memories.
That's just
like being in theaters for the
goosebumps. And I think the second time I saw it, I yelled with it.
or
like movie yelled where I'm like, no, like said it under my breath.
Quietly like, no.
Yeah, I was pumped for it.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's going to be making a Batman movie, he knows how to do tension.
Oh, yeah. And build up. And so I'm very hopeful Matt Reeves does a trilogy and follows that formula, that it's a cohesive 3-story arc to give Bruce Wayne like the full Caesar-esque huge spanning storyline, but that each one is still like its own thing.
I think part of the reason that helps those Apes movies were, I know they're not really that far apart in time, like reference time, because the apes are the character you're following. You're seeing him at like different stages in his life. Mm-hmm. It'd be like, because the first one's basically Caesar's a child and a teenager. Right. The second one, he's like a late 20s, 30-something character.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one, he's 40s, 50s. Like,
even if that's not like literally the age, like if we were talking human years.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like.
That's true. That does make a big difference,
and then
doesn't it?
The other thing with it too is I think the setting of it. The first one's very much our world. It's all in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And while the second one also takes place in California and whatnot, but you're now doing this whole like jungle vibe. And then the third one is the snow military base, Hoff-esque. So it's like, while it's all that one storyline and it's all connected, your brain's able to separate the three because they're all very distinctly their own unique setting. They're
Damn.
completely new characters and time frame for the character.
That's a very good point, and I think that
I pulled it out of my ass.
it very much undoes the thing I was saying, because that's a level of storytelling that is going to work very isolatedly in a story where a character ages up that quickly, and that you don't have to worry about the actor aging alongside them. And then, the way the setting changes, because realistically, we're going to deal with a Batman cast in his 30s. It's going to take them 6-7 years to make these movies. He's going to be 30 to 37. That's not a huge age up, and it's all going to be in Gotham, presumably. So, like, it probably won't have that. But, like, the Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises
takes place over, like, 12 years.
Yeah, and they are rather independent, but, like... Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I mean, because, like, the first two were obviously very, like, independent, but they were like, good connected. I would like to just find the lockbox somewhere in, like, friggin' LA where the original script for the third Batman movie is, because I really think Ledger's death just completely torpedoed that.
Absolutely. There's no way he wasn't going to... Even if he was going to play a B storyline role, maybe they were like, we gave Joker the forefront, stick him in secondary, but they had to have started over.
Yeah, because, like, I was talking with this with a coworker the other day, was, and this it's always going to bother me with that movie, was, why did Batman become Batman?
Because he was sad, Zach.
But why was he sad?
Because his parents died.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't...
Dark Knight ends with his girlfriend dying. He's like, I'm out. Sorry, guys. No.
It really didn't set it up any more than that. I don't know.
Like...
They could have done more for it.
The way The Dark Knight ended, I feel like Dark Knight Rises should have began with, like, a Ben Affleck-esque Batman, where he's pissed. Like, the story should have been, like, Gordon, who was that, like, anchor of light all the way through, trying to pull Batman back.
It makes me think of... I'm just recently rewatching John Wick in anticipation of number 3.
I haven't seen any of them.
Oh man,
I'm working on it.
That's without spoiling it. The whole main thing is that he's out.
Dog.
He doesn't want to do it anymore, and he gets like forcibly pulled back in through like various ways that his life gets torn apart. And so then he's just like, well, fuck it. Not only am I back, I'm back and a loose cannon now. I was the most dangerous man alive. Now I'm the most dangerous man alive, and fuck everyone.
Yeah.
And so like if we saw Batman, like. I'm fine with the Ben Affleck version of Batman. I don't like Batman killing and stuff, but if you're going to get there, make that the third movie where he fucking snaps.
Yeah, like you need someone to push him over the edge and not just be like, I'm going to go grow my hair out and limp around. And it's like, what?
Yeah, I like how he didn't use technology to fix his limp until he decided to come back, even though that was within his means that entire time.
The other great part about that is that, and it's like a very funny scene when the doctor's like looking at all his joints, like, oh man, you're terrible. Like, I've never seen this much damage.
Like no cartilage and all that stuff.
And it's like, that's great because it's like a winking nod, like, oh, he's been Batman forever. But when you actually like sit down and map out how long he was Batman, it's like, oh, 8 months? What were you doing? Superhero landings off of every building?
I didn't really think about that. Yeah, he really does not have a long tenure as Batman, does he?
Like, it might be a year because I thought The Dark Knight took place like 6 months after Batman Begins.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere quite close like that. Scarecrow is still like running around or whatever. Like,
and, like it was pretty close together. And those are the 2 points in that the third movie where I'm like, wait, what?
I might have a good segue into another talking point for the Matt Reeves movies. Is when in Batman's story or life do you want this to take place? So help me God, if they make me watch Batman's parents get shot and the pearls fall, and they make me watch that one more time, I'm going to lose my mind.
Okay, thank you. Because that was...
Do the homecoming thing and skip the Ben Parker, you know?
I am so tired of seeing origin stories, and I get it. For some of them, you need them.
Yeah,
like
it helps.
Some characters need it. Ironically, Guardians of the Galaxy, B-list characters. Was there an origin story for any of them?
No.
You just kind of jump in and join them. You know who's not a B-list character and everyone under the sun knows who they are? Batman.
Yeah.
Put a picture on the cave wall somewhere where he like longingly looks at it at some point.
We hardly even need that.
But maybe just like a wink in the background.
Just to make sure people know like it's the same origin you're used to. Yeah, we're not switching it up. It's
like Homecoming. They didn't show Uncle Ben dying and with great power comes great responsibility and all that.
But at some point him and Aunt May are like, I miss Uncle Ben.
but they never said his name.
Did they not even?
I think when he gets the suit for the prom, she goes, that was your uncle's suit. There's a line of dialogue like that where like everyone knows Uncle Ben because they've made 12 Spider-Man movies, and he appeared in all 3 Sam Raimi movies.
Oh man,
because he dies in the first one.
Yeah,
he's part of the credits, I believe, in the second one, and I think he's a flashback in the third one.
But
just in case you weren't aware that Peter's uncle gets shot.
Oh, but was it a flashback to the actual first movie, or was it like a flashback where it's like a newly filmed scene?
It was newly filmed because the third one they retconned it. Sandman became the guy that shot Ben Parker.
But
he appears the death appears in all of them. We don't need that. We don't need Batman's parents being shot. Just have a picture somewhere where maybe like he's in, like, this opening shot is him in the friggin' grand hall, and Alfred walks in, and, like, you just see Bruce's back, and he's looking at the photo, and then they start talking. Mm-hmm. We don't need anything major.
I love The Dark Knight so damn much. It's still one of my favorite comic book movies to this day. But I think my gold standard of Batman films is still Mask of the Phantasm. I'm obsessed about that for years. I think it's because it was like such an early introduction for me to Batman, and an introduction to like Mark Hamill's Joker, and such a serious take. But when you go back to it, there's so much emotional resonance of like crying in front of his parents' grave, being like, I didn't expect to be happy. I don't think I want to do this.
It doesn't mean I don't care anymore. I don't want to let you down, honest, but it just doesn't hurt so bad anymore. I didn't see this coming. I didn't count on being happy.
That shit's heavy.
Yeah, very. At one point when I was making my list of things I want, I almost wrote just make Mask of Phantasm. Because one of my things is I want a new villain. And I'm like, just do it all. And then I'm like, oh god, then we have to do the origin story and all that. And I'm like, I'm kind of stuck.
The origin is still in that movie, isn't it?
A little bit, I think.
It's only like an hour and 15 minutes or something. So
oh, god,
I love that movie so much.
To go back and just answer your original question.
Where to set this? What age or range?
So this kind of ties into us eventually getting what we want and don't want. I don't want year one. I've heard a lot of people talk about how great it would be. It's not. It's fine. Like, it's a good story. We don't need it. It's the origin. We don't need to seem like, oh, it's all bat, and I put on a bat costume.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, even if they skip that amount of the origin, I don't think I care to watch Batman get good at what he does. I just want to see him be sweet.
I would... Because I've been thinking about it, and this could set up to him being, as you said, Matt Reeves doing a 3-movie arc.
I'm assuming that the amount of effort that they're putting into this casting and locking down Matt Reeves and giving him all the time he wants and everything, I have to think there's no way they're putting this effort without trying to groom it to be like, Matt Reeves, please just lead this trilogy yourself. It'll be a trilogy no matter what, probably, but hopefully it's Matt Reeves the whole time.
I would really like... It's younger Batman, but like he's already established in the city. Mm-hmm. He's maybe in his mid-20s to late 20s. I know most of the guys they're looking at casting are like 30 to 33, so in classic Hollywood form, that means they can play up to, what, a 14-year-old? Right. So yeah, like, have him be established. And the other thing I would like, if it's early on in his career, this is going to be a Batman that is committed to his goals. He's committed to the mission. He is going to be a very hard, like, angry person. This is going to be brooding Bruce Wayne at his best. He doesn't believe in love. He is, like, no family.
Still all the edge, all the cynicism, none of the, like, and there's hope for me to have my own life.
Yeah, like, this is very much all I have is the goal. I need to clean up Gotham. Mm-hmm. There's nothing else. I'm laser focused. And you can have him soften up over 3, 4, 5 movies if you want. God knows how long they're going to cast Robert Pattinson.
Or it would be really dope to soften him up and then take it away from him, like, and watch him go unhinged or whatever. Like,
are you talking about Death of the Family? Are you talking about killing a Robin in front of him? Because I would be down.
We can. I do have like kind of my outline of where I would maybe see the 3 movies, but I feel like I had a couple other talking points. I wish I printed mine out like you did, of just like basic things. Yeah, I feel like my go-to Batman media my whole life has been the animated series.
Yeah,
that was what introduced me to Batman.
Was my base as well.
Like I would for sure watch a movie of. What's it called? Cold Hearts, or what the hell is the Mr. Freeze storyline that they wrote? Like,
yeah, I have that one on my list too. Heart of Ice.
Heart of Ice. I would watch that movie for sure. I don't know if that's like the direction I would necessarily want to see these movies go, because I kind of came up with my own thing. But if they chose to do that, I'm down, because that's like that shit won Emmys and like permanently changed the origin of that character and everything. Like,
yeah. Man, that's
don't get me wrong. I love
so much impact.
I love me some Arnold Schwarzenegger shouting one-liners.
Allow me to break the ice. Stay cool, bird boy. Let's kick some ice. All right, everyone, chill. Cool party. Frosty.
You could do that all day, and you could do that for 90 minutes, and I'll watch it. But yeah.
As you look on your list, another thing I'd really like to see. So like, I want young, very hard, driven Batman. I just have wanted this for so long, and they keep teasing it, and they never do it. I want to see the world's greatest detective. Be a detective for a minute.
Yeah, that's when I put together my list. Because what's the first stuff I said? Like, here's maybe a few talking points, and then my list of like things I specifically want in this movie that aren't storylines, just like character things. The first one I just detective focus.
Yeah, he's like,
which Matt Reeves said he's doing, because he's very specifically said that's what he wants to do with this movie.
Live action movies, we've got 2 Michael Keaton movies, Val Kilmer, George, 3 Christian Bale movies, and 2 appearances basically of Ben Affleck. So like 9 films, and you can literally count his detective work on one hand. You have Michael Keaton looking at a photo, circling and drawing a Joker face.
Right.
Which, whatever. You've got Batman doing his weird bullet.
His ballistics test.
That looked cool, but made no
It looked
friggin'
super
sense.
cool. Yeah, dumb scene, actually.
The only other detective work I can genuinely think of is him trying to find the drugs in Batman Begins. And he goes into like the house. And then promptly gets blasted and scars every child under the age of 10 for the next 2 years.
And then he runs around grabbing thugs, screaming in their face.
Where the drugs
which,
going.
that's interrogating people, intimidating people, or whatever isn't really detective work.
Yeah, like it can play
follow
part of it,
clues
but
and,
I haven't finished it. I've started like 4 times, but Arkham Origins does that. You have to like solve.
Yeah.
Like,
is that the only one of the Arkham games you played?
I've played all of them, but that's the one I specifically remember like solving crimes because like it wasn't just like look at the clue and then like throw on your night vision and you track
footprints or whatever. Yeah, that one has like the scene recreations or whatever.
Yeah, where
right?
you like you have to walk around and find different clues.
That shit was cool actually.
Yeah.
That was a really cool part of that game.
Like even give me one scene where it's like there's a murder and they're like, oh, who is this? And it's Gordon and Batman being all moody and like Batman's just a shadow. Talking to Gordon, you almost never see him. It's just like the cowl and the silhouette, and he's just kind of like moving around the apartment. And he goes, "I think I found something." And he talks about it, and then just jumps out the window and goes. That would be great.
Yeah, there's a lot to play on with that relationship there. Where like Gordon's a very competent detective and everything, but like it would just be funny to see him like do something very competent and like successfully find like a meaningful clue, and then get just super outclassed by Batman. Being like that's only a part of the story there, Gordon.
Yeah.
Buddy.
A couple small other character beats I'd really like for him. I don't want to see him do any voices like this.
What did you feel about the Affleck one where it auto changed it? Like he's not doing it.
I literally have on my list voice modulator, not Bale voice.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Affleck sounded dope. He was scary.
And I like Christian Bale's voice in the first Batman movie. I thought that was really good because he did the kind of deep gruff voice, and when he had to drop to that deeper register, it was actually scary. That "swear to me" line. I fist pumped because that was so Batman.
That shit's cool.
But then he decided to do "Swear to Me" for 2 full movies.
Yeah.
But like,
where is she?
Yeah,
he said that in every movie, I think.
I think so.
Or there's scenes where he's like in a room full of people who know that he's Batman, and he doesn't drop the voice or whatever, and like it's like okay, yeah. The voice modulator thing was really cool. I liked that.
The other thing to steal from Batman vs Superman that I would like to see happen again, and most people have played the Arkham games. One of the best part of the Arkham games is when you're just like, oh, I'm in a room with 40 guys. I'm going to not let any of them see me, and I'm going to take them all out.
This is the point I have below detective focus. Love the action in Batman vs. Superman. That scene in the tall construction thing where he just beats the shit out of 20 people.
When he burst through the wall, like it was one of those things where you knew what was coming. And I think I leaned forward in the seat because in my head I pictured all the times I like hid behind a wall and burst out in Arkham.
You're like, this is what Zack Snyder's good at.
Yeah,
this is finally what we've been waiting for.
And like, sure, we had a few moments like with Bale taking out the guys in Dark Knight, but it was pretty minimal. But yeah, like him just like slowly taking out all the guys who worked at the building, and then like the one guy just walking with the gun, and he just reaches through the wall and pulls him back. I was like, we're finally getting Batman being Batman.
That's got to be really, really hard to put to film without being like, this Batman kills people.
Yeah, and
so like, I don't know how to balance that. I honestly don't have an answer to that because I've been trying to think on that a lot.
Tackle through the wall. You don't pull him back through the wall.
I guess I don't know. No direct head trauma. Makes me think of that College Humor stuff with Pete Holmes or they're sleeping. I don't know, just that action stuff is sweet. Oh, I remember. Did you ever play the it was GameCube and probably PlayStation 2 or whatever at the time, game movie tie-in for Batman Begins?
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That entire thing is like not about combat. It's entirely
fear.
Stealth, fear, and like ninja tactics. If they had full-on detective Batman, he can be relatively lean. He doesn't need to be more muscular than fucking Superman.
Yeah.
And
he
just
make him bleed.
Right. if he stealths around, crawls around, does entirely fear tactics, does shit like jumps at people through walls and stuff, or like sets up elaborate traps with his cool gizmos and everything. I'm down for that.
The beauty of that was, even with the fear thing, once he had them scared enough, he could still just beat them hand to hand.
Yeah, then it would be that much easier to incapacitate someone without killing them, probably, because they're shitting their pants already.
This ties into something that this is just like, it doesn't matter what happens. It'd be a really cool way that this will also eventually tie into a rough idea I have later for what I would like to see him, as a movie, not necessarily the rumors for this one.
Just a teaser there. I just saw the subtitle on your printout, ideal movie.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward.
It's just, that's the aspects and parts of it. But I think it would be cool if, I've wanted this for a long time. Guys on the IGN Keeping It Real podcast pitched for years. They would just like to see a superhero movie start with a superhero taking on a B-list villain.
Yeah.
And like Spider-Man kind of did that with Rhino. But I would love it to be you could even just do it as like an awkward twist and like throwback. It's a similar like bank robbery scene, and it's similar to Dark Knight. Maybe not as like intense and look, here's the Joker kind of thing.
Oh my god, that was
your
such
heart's
an
beating. Your heart's
exhilarating
beating.
scene,
It's like
yeah.
you're like we're 2 minutes into this. Oh god.
Saw that in IMAX and was just so floored.
Yeah.
God damn that movie.
But
Anyways,
you're doing it so it's like you got the crime and you start to hear things and you're being introduced to Batman from the criminal's perspective. And
oh shit,
like
he's like crawling through vents or like going across the screen like
Yeah.
Alien or whatever.
yeah, you hear you see like the flick of the cape, or you'll hear a rustle, or you'll see like an arm pull back. Not kind of similar to the way
in the shipping yard or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
like
Where
that.
he gets plucked up.
and
yeah.
finally the last guy you can just Assassin's Creed Arkham Knight just like drop off the ceiling and just land on the guy and he stands up and hell, that's when you flash Batman on the title and he just like slowly looks at the camera or something.
Yeah,
And-
no dialogue or whatever. Just
Yeah.
a bunch of thugs, just like and
Yeah.
and one like B or C level villain running the thugs or whatever.
Even if it's not like just the
Yeah,
concept.
it could just be goons.
Yeah, goons, and then also a wink at the friggin' animated series theme song.
Oh
Because
yeah,
he takes out the
yeah.
bank robbers. It's not going to look like Ben Affleck Batman completely because you're going to see it from the criminal's perspective of they're
Oh.
terrified of this man in a bat suit. So he's going to look a bit more grotesque and a bit more freakish to them.
Oh, weird.
And just this notion of like
A less dramatic version of the like fear gas
Yeah.
version of Batman we see in
yeah,
It Begins.
and I think it'd be really cool, like going back to the bit of just like him breaking a bank robbery, but like you're not seeing it's not. And you couldn't really do it where like he looks at this demonic bat and then like he lands and he's in the regular bat suit, but just that notion of even getting like a 5-minute scene of you are getting the on the ground reaction to someone like Batman, and I think it'd be really cool to get introduced to Batman because like we all know Batman kicks ass, but if you're seeing like Joe Blow trying to rob a bank, like bust an ATM, kind of like the Spider-Man movie, and all of a sudden Batman comes in, you're shitting your pants.
They do live in a world where there are like Superman exists.
Yeah.
And like they don't know that Bruce Wayne is a man.
Yeah,
And so I never thought about that, but I do like the idea that they're like, you know, the way these you'll see that in like the shows or video games or whatever, where you hear random goons kicking around like the myth and the legend, trying to be like, well, I heard he can blah blah blah, and it's like he has laser eyes or whatever. And you're like, no, he doesn't.
And
I do like the idea that if they don't know he's a man, they're seeing him as like this inhuman.
and
like-
that's also the kind of the beauty of it is like once you realize he's a man, he's that much scarier.
Yeah, how is one man doing this?
Yeah, like there's an animated movie that they did recently. It was Justice League, where it's the Justice League's forming, and it's an adaptation of the New 52. And Green Lantern meets up with Batman. And he was like, "Holy shit, you're real?" And he's like, "Yeah." And
Right.
they're talking, and Green Lantern's like, "Oh, so what are your powers? Can you fly?" He goes, "Nope." And he keeps asking, and he's like, "Wait, you're just a dude?" And he goes, "Yeah." And you see Green Lantern like recoil for a second and be like, "Oh."
Wait, you're not just some guy in a bat costume, are you?
And I'm pretty sure Batman rips the ring off his hand too in that scene.
Oh shit.
What's this do?
Huh? You won't do that again.
Unless I want to.
I think I did see that clip. Yeah, that sort of shit. I think a lot of people pointed at like the Cyborg line in Justice League being like, "Oh man, you're real," and he's like, "I'm real when I need to be." I think a lot of people pointed that out, saying that they hated that line, and I was like, "No, that's dope." The Batman lives in such mystery that people don't even know if he's real, and like Bruce is just leaning fully into that.
I mean, it helps that he was killing people in that universe.
Yeah,
But
he's like, I come and go as I please. Like, you never know if I'm around a corner. Like, maybe I am just a man. Maybe I am like an army of men. Like, it's I don't know. I thought that line was cool.
yeah, because it's like it really reinforces the ninja thing too with him.
Yeah. No one should like strongly know Batman or like things about him.
Well, except Alfred. That's fine.
Well, yeah, but I mean like his villains, and now and again we'll go toe to toe. Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
On that note,
Okay.
here's one thing I don't want. Stop revealing your identity.
To all superheroes.
Also, Batman's notorious. Do you ever watch the How It Should Have Ended YouTube series?
Yeah.
Their running gag of, "Hey, wonder who I am?" And they're like, "You're Bruce Wayne." And he's like, "What? How do you know?" Everybody knows.
Right.
Stop telling people.
Who does know in... He tells his girlfriend in the Dark Knight trilogy. Alfred obviously knows.
Gordon, I think.
Gordon,
figures it out.
he basically tells Gordon at the end. He tells Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character more or less. Like,
Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, Bane.
holy shit, a lot of people do know, don't
Lucius
they?
knows.
Oh my god, right?
Um,
yeah, everyone knows. Yeah, that's funny to think. A lot of people know.
like, and it's all the movies.
Yeah.
He tells everybody.
I would like if they ever redo a Justice League adaptation where no one on the team knows who he is. This would be kind of funny,
Here's
right?
the thing. This is what I would want. Have you ever seen the Justice League cartoon clip when they kind of get together and Bruce Wayne just shows how great of a detective he is?
I'm not sure.
I think it's the Injustice League of Invaded Earth or something, and from Earth 2, I believe. and I think it's the Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman are all trapped in like a Walmart. We'll say it's just like a big department store, and they're like, "We gotta get out of here." And he's like, "We need disguises. We gotta take off our costumes." And Flash like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! We can't just reveal our identities." And Bruce just looks at him and goes, "Barry Allen, Clark Kent, Wonder Woman, Bruce
Diana
Wayne."
Prince or
yeah,
whatever. I did see that. Like,
and he just like punks them all. And they're like, "Well, shit. Yeah, I guess we'll take off the costumes then."
For the time being, we're gonna have to go underground.
How exactly do we hide when the entire planet is looking for us?
They're looking for the Justice League. Without our costumes, we are merely ordinary citizens.
Hold on a second here. What about the whole secret identity thing? I mean, I trust you guys, but I'm not sure I'm ready to...
Wally West, Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne.
Show off.
I do, goddamn, I do love that, because, like, if he's the world's greatest detective, he should know that shit. I think one thing that I maybe didn't say, but I think I just said Batman animated series is, like, my cornerstone for Batman stuff, and I think in that he's supposed to be a couple of years in, 5, something like that. Yeah, he's like around 30, early 30s
I would
or
say
something.
that series
he's like maybe 10 years in, but he's like prime Batman.
Yeah,
he's like not.
He's established.
He's not aging out of it at all. He's
Yeah.
like still in his prime fit and mental capacity and everything. So if we jumped into a movie where we already have fully ready to go Batman, and there's a couple villains around, like someone that he can beat the hell out of in the first 5 minutes, someone who can be like a B storyline or whatever, and then like someone who comes forward as the main, or introduce a new character for the main or whatever, but like then in the second movie it could be like an Arkham Breach or whatever, and you realize that like a lot of these characters have already been around and we just didn't see them in the first movie, and there could be throwbacks to like back when I took down Freeze or whatever. But yeah, I would like, because even Marvel does this, where every time they introduce a new villain, the villain needs a mini origin story to show how they became evil, and like then we get the rise and fall of them in 1 2-hour movie or whatever.
And usually it's covered in the last 45 minutes because they didn't get introduced till an hour into the movie.
Yeah, and like, I don't know if you really need these introductions. I get why Marvel does it, because they're always like a similarly powered direct foil to the superhero or whatever. But it's like, if you just dive in and like 9 of these characters exist already in this universe, I'm fine with that. I don't need to reveal bits and pieces of their origin through his detective work or through like conversations and things.
Freaking dialogue can explain a lot. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it can be done in a way that's not like beat over the head expository. Like, it can be sprinkled in organic ways where they're trying to like, well, they're like, oh, well, we know that Poison Ivy could never do this because of back when she became Poison Ivy. Like, I don't care. You can give it 2 lines of dialogue, and that's fine. I don't need to watch every single villain become a villain.
Well, like, even you can do it with, was it Incredible Hulk? Oh, yeah, deep pull here. When they retold his entire origin story in the opening credits.
Oh, shit, yeah. I do remember them. The Ang Lee Hulk movie was like a couple years old, right? So maybe it was like 6 years old.
Ang Lee's Hulk was 2003, and Incredible Hulk, I think, was 2008. So 5 years?
Yeah, there was a bit of a gap there. And Hulk's a prominent mainstream media, but at the same time, I don't know how well people would know his origin.
But like,
I take for granted that sometimes.
Like doing detective work. Here's a way to do it. If we get like kind of classic Batman with the giant
bat pewter,
the bat pewter that's friggin' got the 400-inch TV screen on it.
So impractical.
Well, how
you gotta turn your neck to see shit. Just scroll.
It looks cool. That's all
it
that matters.
Look cool.
He has everything on like font 600. That's why.
Right. It's for Alfred's sake.
Yeah.
His weak eyes, old man eyes.
But you can do it where he's like doing detective work, where he's like researching, and like I'm sure a lot of people didn't like this. I really dug in Batman v Superman when they're like he has the file and he just sees like the minute clip on each new hero.
Oh, I really hated that. You just gave me flashbacks.
I just thought it was kind of interesting because like we all knew that series was gonna be like, we're gonna do one movie, then we're gonna bring everyone together in it.
Yeah.
As opposed to using 8 movies. I thought that was a clever way to get around it. But you'd be like, oh, he's trying to catch the Penguin and he's researching the Penguin, and there's like, we all do this, we're on our computer. We've got like 4 different windows are open. You can literally just have one playing a news clip, like going like, oh, the Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot, blah 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 blah.
Well, yeah, because everyone knows that the Penguin is Oswald Cobblepot, right?
Yeah.
It's like not even a disguise or whatever. Like, people don't know who the Riddler is, but they know who the Penguin is, right? So that would be a really easy one to be like, billionaire Oswald Cobblepot comes unhinged, murders party full of guests or whatever. Like Vicky Vale in the background or something, like just reporting on it.
You could do, I think Penguin is sort of the way like Tyrion is in Game of Thrones, where everyone knows him as Tyrion, but he's also the imp. If that makes sense. I kind of think that's how the Penguin works.
It's not really. I mean, he kind of leans into the moniker a little bit, but he doesn't use it to hide his identity. It's just like, that's just what people call him.
Yeah. But yeah, like, there's ways you can do this friggin' origin story stuff and not be like, all right, 7-minute mini movie.
Yeah.
Like, you can do dialogue, you can show headlines. They do in other movies all the time where you see, like, the newspapers falling and just, like, various headlines. Mm-hmm. And, it gives you a snapshot of who the character is. You don't need to spend a lot of time with it.
I would want to lean away from something that trope-heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Like that opening scene of him beating up goons. Someone could be there. Some random villain could be there. They could be Penguin's goons or whatever. There can be, like, another point in the movie where the plot is starting to ramp up, where he is, like, investigating a warehouse or whatever, where his, like, series of clues have led him, and it turns out it was, like, a red herring, and he's stumbled onto something that Two-Face is up to, and he has, like, a run-in, but then it's, like, that's still not... That puts him on to, like, the next direction of what he's actually trying to solve or something. Like, I don't know if you want to lace in too many villains right away, because, like, that what's the whole 3-villain thing that it killed Spider-Man 3. There was another movie that did 3 villains, and it fucked up the movie.
X-Men 3.
Yeah, just as soon as you get too many villains in one movie, it's hard to handle. But if you can put 49 superheroes in one movie, I think you could put 3 villains in one movie.
The difference between those 49 heroes were, like, established for the most part over...
That's not a fair comparison.
Yeah, because it was like, who are the new characters we meet in the Infinity Wars? The friggin'... This is how well they did introduce them. The 4 creepy, evil, Fantastic Four guys working for Thanos. Midnight Proxima...
his children or whatever.
Yeah. Have you heard the rumors that, like, the Batman movie could have 6 villains in it?
Yeah, because there was...
Because it's like, I either see Catwoman and Penguin, or I see 6 villains.
You would say, well, I guess we can transition into... Do you have... Before we talk about the rumors of where this movie's going and where we want it to go, do you have any more of those, like, I do not want this in the movie?
I don't need to see dirty cops in this first movie.
Oh, really?
Like, I'm sure they're there, but... we don't need them.
Yeah, Batman's dealing with enough. That inner corruption or thing doesn't really... What's the dude's name? The guy who works with Gordon all the time, Harvey
Bullock.
Who's never in the movies. Isn't the whole point of that character is that, like, usually when he exists, it's in a world where people are pretty on board with Batman.
Yeah, and
they let him do his thing, and he's the one hard ass.
Yeah,
who's like, I don't like this guy. He's the J. Jonah Jameson sitting there just fuming about the fact that this guy even exists.
Chowing down his giant, like, submarine sub or something.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to I do like that. I do like that.
That I have no problem with. I mean,
I'm agreeing with you. Sorry. I like the idea of having a competent police department that are okay with Batman and kind of work alongside him, and then we get that lens of Harvey just being like, I don't get why we work with this guy. Like,
I would also like to see Renee Montoya show up.
Ooh, that name's familiar.
She is the female detective from the animated series.
Montoya,
I don't need her, like, when we get into, like, talking about, like, what we'd like to see as a movie, I'm going to go very hard. Because the way you're talking, the way I want to go is very much the other direction.
Oh, cool. That's probably good for the sake of...
Just from, like, just the things I've been having for thoughts the last 2 days. But I think she'd be really cool to add in, because, A, she's an interesting character, and also she becomes a hero.
Who does she become?
The Question.
Oh, I am super unfamiliar with that.
The Question is just a detective. He has no face. And she becomes the Question in a series called 52. He's dying, and he's trying to solve this crime, and she's like, you're going to help me, and this crime ties into everything. Classic detective, like, you go into his apartment, he's got, like, the string going everywhere, and he's a chain smoker and all that. Like, this giant, I think, global scheme, if I remember correctly. And he eventually dies. And also, hey, we want to have more inclusive roles. Renee Montoya is a lesbian character.
There you go.
She's been lesbian for...
Since the character's inception?
I don't think so. Because, I mean, it would have been weird to be like, hey, kids, 1992, and this girl likes girls.
Yeah, it depends how early the character was introduced. If they're, like, first introduction to the 2000s, then, yeah, they were probably lesbian from the start. But, yeah, there was a time when people just weren't cool with that. And relatively recently.
Yeah.
Whenever people get all bitchy about, like, they turned the character gay, why don't you just write a new character? And it's just like, well, I don't know, the character was made in a time where you weren't allowed to do that. And so they flipped it because... maybe that was right for the character all along. They just, like, the general audience wasn't going to accept it.
But yeah, Renee Montoya would be great. Also, she has another connection to the Bat universe. If I remember correctly, she was once a lover of, oh my god, I've drawn a blank on her human name, Batwoman, who is not like, oh, I look up at Batman and blah, blah, blah. Like, she just became her own ass-kicking thing, and...
Right. Because that Batgirl kind of, like, tags along with Batman. Batwoman is, like, she just chose her own thing, yeah.
Batgirl is very much like a female response to Robin.
Right.
But yeah, Renee Montoya would be great.
I don't know a ton about that character, but she's just like a badass detective. So if we're going super detective heavy, we can have like
we're giving ourselves another female character.
Yeah,
you don't need to be like her walking around and be like, I'm wearing comfortable shoes, I'm a lesbian, blah blah blah.
Well, look to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, 2 of the most like well put to screen LGBTQ characters ever. They just are fully fledged humans who also have same-sex relationships.
Weird, right?
I know. Like, who would have thought Brooklyn Nine-Nine would be the gold standard of properly done, like, representation like that? Yeah.
Not I. Not I.
Hot Rod would be the guy who spearheaded the proper representation in media.
Quick little note on that. I didn't realize this till today. Holt is also like the general in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Oh, damn. Ooh, I had one more thing that I thought would be cool that I would like to see adjusted. Gotham is a fictional city. It can be its own thing. It can be unique. Batman Begins kind of had this super grungy, underbelly, sleazebag city, and that was kind of interesting.
It's because they filmed in Chicago and Pittsburgh.
Well, yeah, but then
Bunch of yinzers.
Then they were just like filming them in daytime and stuff, and they didn't really dress it up or anything. But like that is something that Spider-Man doesn't have. Spider-Man's in New York, and that's super cool because New York's a unique city, and then you can lean into a bunch of New Yorkness. But like Batman's in Gotham. Gotham doesn't exist on a map anywhere. You can make it like I've seen these cool concept arts that people have done where it's like this neo-tech Blade Runner like future city that fell apart. It doesn't have to be that it doesn't have to be that extreme, but like it doesn't have to be big 19-story tall billboards or like animated billboards or whatever, but like dress it up a little, make it unique, make it something that
give us the blimps.
Yeah, the blimps from the whole animated series and stuff. Like, be weird and unique with it and daring in a way that it makes it stand out.
But also not giant statues like Batman and Robin.
Right.
Because that was weird. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like,
people are very fixated on like the gothic aesthetic from the Tim Burton stuff, and I think that works, but like I would like to see it. We've seen that a lot.
Yeah. I think a good reference point that's like a hybrid between the two is I almost said Zack Snyder. Scott Snyder's run on Batman. That it was the New 52 reboot, and it was him and Greg Capullo. And early on, it's Bruce like redesigning Gotham, and he's building a new Wayne Tower, and even has the hooks for the blimps, and he like blatantly says it. And someone in the room was like, "I love the animated series." Yeah, it was a reference for that.
That's super funny.
But it's like it's this notion that it was that like kind of it was a gothic city dying, and it's also being rebuilt. So you've got like some of the buildings are going to look super old, and it's going to have a bit of a New York feel to it, but you can make it more unique.
I do like the idea that it's like it's decaying but trying to pull itself back up. So it's like you have these seedy underbellies, but then you also have these like bright spots of like Wayne Tower and stuff where you're trying to like usher in the new era.
And failing horribly.
Which is kind of the whole thing with Batman of trying to do away with the...
Are you trying to turn an entire city into a storyline for the character's arc over the last 20 years?
That's all anyone ever does with cities and movies, and you might as well keep doing it. It's like the city's a character in the movie. Whatever, it's fine.
Filming all in Vancouver, which has no character apparently.
I saw that video. That was a very interesting video. Yeah, for if we get a Matt Reeves trilogy, which is what I would love to see. I don't know. Maybe the first movie sucks and I have to eat my own words. But I'm putting a lot of faith in him pulling it off. My familiarity with the storylines is rough. There's a handful that Zach has specifically like lent me, and some I've read over the years and stuff. So I do know some, but like some of these ones that I pulled from are much more recent, and the ones that I'm much less familiar with.
Okay.
But that I saw in my own research, a guy on the forums laid this out, and I kind of pulled from his ideas a lot because I thought he was onto something very cool. If we're doing a detective-heavy movie, which sounds like what's happening and that's what people want, start with some form of Court of Owls.
That's on my list.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
You talk and I'll try and patch over the best I can remember because that was a good story arc.
Oh man, I don't even... Well, because there's a whole thing where there's, what's his name, Lincoln March.
Yeah.
And because I don't know, he's actually running the Court of Owls?
Yes.
But then there's Talon, which is like the main guy who Batman fights. Or is Talon the name for all the goons? And then there's like one main...
So
there's like the Talon, but then there's Talon.
So, yeah.
I don't...
Okay, so the Talon were the foot soldiers of the Court of Owls. Mm-hmm. There are these guys that cannot die. Right,
because they, like... Lincoln March is like a human or whatever, but like the Talon are like weird owl-human hybrids or something, right? They're like not actually humans?
No. The Court of Owls has been like a secret society functioning in Gotham for like 200 or 300 years. So the Wayne family's always been there shaping Gotham, and then the Court of Owls has always kind of been there fighting against it. And this is a Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo run, and it was, if I remember correctly, the Court of Owls are responsible for the Waynes dying. Like they pulled the strings to get Joe Chill into Crime Alley and pull the trigger.
Yeah, and I don't know if I need that. But it would be a funny way that if they did make this movie, the like end of the movie could suddenly have the origin that I don't want to see again. Well, but if they did it, it could be in the middle or end of the movie, recontextualizing it rather than just showing us the same thing we've seen a million times.
You don't show it. It's just the Vader. I am your father.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of the things Snyder built up in this arc was owls would move into your home and they move into nests and take them over.
Okay.
Because they're just predators. They don't like take care of them. They're not like, oh, I've got to protect my home. They're like, no, screw you guys, and they just kill whatever's there and replace it. So the Court of Owls have set up a bunch of their like secret society rooms inside Wayne buildings. So they always know what Wayne Manor's doing or Wayne's doing because he's like the highest person in Gotham.
Yeah, they're targeting him because he's Bruce Wayne, not because he's Batman.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
But they also, I think, figure out that he's Batman.
Jumping all over the place here. Doesn't Lincoln March claim to be Thomas Wayne Jr.?
Yes.
Which I don't. Is that ever confirmed or revealed or whatever?
I don't know.
It would be cool if it never was. If it was just this guy who's living this weird delusion, and it gives him his reason for being so invested in the Wayne family is that he thinks he's a part of it. And if we never know, maybe Batman figures it out. I don't know. But if we never know, then that makes it that much more compelling because it's like there's a lot there.
Yeah, like that was a very cool twist in that arc. But the Talon, their foot soldiers, are guys that they've been given. I think it's Dionysium. It's a metal. Scott Snyder did this entire thing. He introduced all these like heavy metals. That he did a story called Heavy Metal. It's fucking insane. That's the only way to describe it.
But like in a good way.
Yeah, like there's a dark universe. Bat God Barbados comes through trying to take over. It's mental. It also provided one of the greatest lines from Damian Wayne ever. Batman's trying to outrun the Justice League. He's in the Amazon, and he's got the entire Bat family, and they're all wearing like this digital disguise thing that makes them all look like Batman. And the Justice League is slowly picking them all off, and Wonder Woman's like flying beside the van that Damian Wayne's driving. At this point, he's now just Robin. She's like, Robin, pull over, you can't win. And he goes, lady, I'm a 12-year-old driving a Batmobile in the Amazon jungle. There's no way I'm not winning today.
Just unstoppable.
Yeah, it's just just hilarious. But the Dionysium or Dionysium can allow them to revive themselves. They keep coming back. And so they've collected all these killers throughout time from Gotham. And so like Batman gets attacked by one Talon, and it's got a little bit of Assassin's Creed vibe to it, where like the Talon looks very much like 18th century like English. And Batman's like, what the hell? Fights him, can't seem to kill him, escapes. Then he meets another Talon. It's like all of a sudden this guy that looks like he's from World War II, and you're like, wait, what?
Right.
And they've got this entire army of Talons, and eventually, and the only way to stop them is to drop their body temperature. And the Talons, building off the Court of Owls, roosting inside and taking over a nest, they invade the Batcave. And Bruce nearly dies because he has to drop the temperature of the Batcave to like absolute zero or some dumb inhuman level like that.
Okay.
Like just something like that, so he has to like ensures they're all dead. And one Talon does survive, but he's a newer character. And or
a newer recruit or whatever,
and Bruce takes him under his wing, and he becomes a member of the Bat family.
Oh.
But to show how far rooted that the Court of Owls are for pulling strings, they've already earmarked another Talon they're going to recruit. And Bruce figures it out, and he's trying to explain to Dick Grayson. And Dick Grayson's like, what are you talking about? And Bruce just turns and cold cocks him. And you're like, what? And he walks over and he picks up a tooth, and he goes, see? And he flips it around, and there's the Court of Owls logo engraved in this fake tooth.
At some point, they already like
planted inside Dick
They
Grayson.
like knocked him out, swapped out his tooth or whatever. Like,
and the tooth had the Dionysium in it that was slowly leaching into his blood so they could take him over.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And
that shit like that with this movie, if they're going young Batman, we're not going to have what the hell's his name? Nightwing? We're not going to have Robin, we're not going to have Dick, Damian, we're not going to have any of that. And so if they did Court of Owls, it would have to be such a loose adaptation.
But you don't need that scene to have it.
No, and like, but like just the fact that was very much like a teamwork thing, all of a sudden it would have to be like its own independent thing.
But he himself like takes out the Court of Owls by himself. It's just like they tease that Dick Grayson was selected. All right, so that's your first movie more or less. What's your next one?
Yeah,
because you have a trilogy.
Well, yeah, the first movie. The reason I picked that one is I like the idea that it's a new antagonist, and like we could have another villain or two in there, maybe small teases, small things like that, but something new that we haven't seen that people like are largely unfamiliar with, and so I think the less familiar people are with something, the more free, creative liberties you probably have to spin it around. So if it doesn't fit into the exact comic book storyline, that's fine. Do your own unique thing about this shady organization that has been infiltrating Gotham all these years, and Bruce has to do his detective work. And so did you write it out as if it were 3 movies, or did you write it out as if it were 1 movie?
So my thought of Court of Owls would be they're pulling the strings, and it's like that mystery of like who's setting this up, and you don't realize it's them until probably halfway through the second movie, and they're like the main villain of the third one. If that makes sense, because like they are the secret society pulling the strings. And I think it would be not a waste, but it would seem kind of weird that like we've been a secret society for 300 years, and then Bruce is like, first movie, I'm done with you, moving on.
Yeah, I do see the downside of that.
We don't need 10 rings as like Iron Man.
Which Kevin Feige's on record saying he's bringing it back.
Please.
Which is probably going to be the Shang-Chi movie, but I don't know. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do get that, though, that if you introduce it in the first movie, it maybe has to have a presence in the next ones, but like the way Scarecrow's in all 3, but like...
But the alternative we could do for it is what you can have it be like maybe he's got an established villain, but the villain's got like a thug and it's Talon, one of the Talons, and he beats it, and then like and you can have that Talon die, like not Bruce killing him, but like something happens where like
Right.
say
He failed and they execute
yeah,
him or
like the
whatever.
Penguin's like screw you and shoots him with his umbrella, and then the next movie, Bruce gets attacked by another Talon and it's the same costume, and you're like, wait, what?
Oh, wait, so would Bruce not be privy to that? He would think it's the same guy, but we get to be like,
Yeah.
it's a new Talon, and then Bruce has to detective his
Yeah,
way through it or
yeah.
whatever. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Or even like you could do like the slightly different costume. He's like, wait, there's more of you, and then like that's his tip off of like there's something else going on here.
He fights two at once or something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. There's got to be a difficult thing to do in a detective storyline, is that it's really cool to have like the audience to have information that the character doesn't, but I think all the best detective stuff is like we have all the information that Batman does, and if you really like on your second or third watch, you can be like, there were enough pieces there. You could have figured it out yourself. You're just not going to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like the idea of being like Bruce doesn't realize it's a new Talon, but like then that kind of undercuts Bruce being a.
But even like if do it where it's like it's the same costume and all that, like even the audience, and like don't put it in the trailer. I just keep it completely out of it, and then all of a sudden like Bruce just the motion comes across the screen, and you're like, what's that? And then like the silhouette and the guy stands up, and it's the same Talon from the first one, because they can come back from the dead as well.
Right.
So it's just like that little bit where you're like, wait, what's going on? Didn't we see that guy die?
Yeah, I do like the guesswork that would go into it as like a viewer, not knowing what's up. So that you would see Court of Owls paying off in a third movie, I can see that.
Or even
I
like
that.
two, like
but like being played up for a longer.
Yeah, you have to like
go
for a bit with it, in my opinion.
Court of Owls, the first movie, give us super cool detective Batman, maybe sprinkle in a rogue or two, but the second movie would be like an Arkham breakout or something. Give us an inside look at Arkham. Give us like 6 villains or something. Maybe have like Hush as the main or something. Like it's just new again. I mean, it would be cool to have something like Bane. You could do Bane breaking everyone out, but then people are going to be like, didn't they already do this storyline? The same way that why the fuck are they making the Dark Phoenix movie? Like, you just to have that identical of an adaptation that close together, it's like you have so many years of comic book movies. Like,
I think the one counterpoint if you did Bane breaking everyone out is in Arkham or in Dark Knight Rises, he breaks out criminal XYZ gun guy.
Yeah.
Where this would be like
out of Blackgate, right? So this would be like the rogues out of Arkham.
So like this would be like Bane breaks open a wall and all of a sudden Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, Firefly, Condiment King walk out. I don't know why I'm fixated on Condiment King.
Right. Because he's the best.
I don't even like ketchup or mustard. So
yeah, that's why he's a villain.
God. The 60s were weird. So weird. I think he's in the old TV show too.
Oh really? Damn. Don't recall. I don't even have like a narrative structure for that movie, but it's like I want the opportunity to just get a bunch of these villains on screen and like really just have fun with that and make it just this wild ass Batman pushed to his extreme, like, and then you would want one peak villain, which I think would be cool to have Hush, because then you can he like grew up with Hush, right? It was like his childhood friend, and so like you can play off that a little bit. It's like someone who probably knows that Batman is Bruce, and so like the same way that Bane was breaking people out and had his motivations there, and he's like, I'm gonna fuck with Batman, maybe I'll figure out who he is. Hush is like doing it targetedly, being like, this is how I'm gonna bring Bruce and Batman down or whatever. So his motivations would be a lot different, but still kind of the same.
It's funny because it's kind of like a loose connection, because in the actual Hush storyline when he debuts, he uses a bunch of the Rogues Gallery to fight Batman.
Okay.
Right to the point of he exhumes Jason Todd's body.
Oh god.
And hides it and gets Clayface to morph into an adult Jason Todd to royally mess with Batman's mind.
God. That is messed up. That's dark as hell.
Yeah. And the only reason I think Batman beats him is like he fights him a few times and then he realizes Jason's still fighting like 13-year-old Jason, not a fully grown man. And he's like, you're not Jason Todd.
Does Clayface adopt the fighting style of who he's imitating, or like the mannerisms or whatever? Or that's a whole part of him being like a master actor and imitator.
I think so, yeah.
Right? Like,
but I think it was also partially like that one specifically where they were trying to like mess with Batman's head to like be Jason Todd. We somehow found all this fight footage for you to study.
Or whatever. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be cool. And I think Clayface would be really cool on screen. You could play around with shit in such a fun way with that character.
Because Clayface is also one of the characters that popped up on my list. I'm like, I would like to see this. But I thought of a clever way that you can do it where it builds up. Where he's like, maybe he's a hitman for the mob, but he starts off very much like the Faceless Man. in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Where it's just his face shifting, and you're like, okay, what? He's like a master of disguise, and then like, and Bruce is fighting him a few times, and maybe like one time like he hits him, and there's like the fleck of mud hits the wall, and then he like runs away, and Batman's like, what's this mud? He has to do like detective work, and then by like the third act, he's like, yeah, now I'm in my final form, Frieza, bitch, and he's like turning his arm into axes and maces, and...
right. That he's just, there's some fun detective potential there too, because if he's like feels like he's tracking individual people and it's just like the string of red herrings and everything, and it turns out it's been Clayface like setting people up all over. That's cool.
Man, I didn't even think of that. I was thinking of like random faces, but like the,
because like presumably he has their fingerprints and shit, right? So like he could be like legit caught in the act or like leaving evidence and things, and so this whole detective narrative, I'm making this up on the fly, it's not on my list,
don't worry, it works really well.
We could have this whole detective narrative of Batman chasing down things and it doesn't add up, and he's like stressing out because he's like,
all of a sudden
I've been doing this for years and I'm fucking the best at it, and this doesn't add up.
All of a sudden it's like Gordon, Montoya, and Bullock are like the three suspects for a bunch of murders or something.
Make his closest allies like start to feel like they become involved. Like, not that they're immediately the main villains or whatever, but it's like, shit, I think they might be corrupt. Like, this goes deeper than I thought or whatever. And boom, it's Clayface. That'd be a cool movie. I like that.
That worked out so much better than my idea for Clayface. I was like, just make him a hitman. He can change his face, and he eventually becomes a big mud monster.
But where you could have those cool moments where there's like weird shit that doesn't make sense. Like, it's a muddy footprint and it hasn't rained in a week or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
and also, it would finally put Batman up against like a weird villain. Because he like, besides the Mr. Freeze, like, let's just pretend like Batman and Robin didn't happen. Everyone else does. It's always been fairly grounded villains.
Yeah, I can't even remember what that version of Poison Ivy. Do we ever see her like use plants?
Yeah, she has the giant like Venus flytrap that eats her at the end. Because that's how they kill her. They knock her into the big rubber flower, closes on her feet just to kick. But she has like her poison kiss, and
that's the only thing I remember is the kiss.
Poison kiss. She used pheromones a little bit.
Yeah.
And every once in a while she'd talk, and like the vines would go around.
Yeah, but it's not that impressive or anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, it could be weirder. I guess Freeze had a frost gun. But Clayface is a much weirder villain. Yeah. There's a new territory to be explored there for sure.
And then you could also do that where like that, if that one happens a bit later on, where it's like this new Batman's become softened a bit. Because in the old animated series, he was trying to save, was it Basil Karlo? I think it's Clayface's real name, because he's right out of the 40s. But he was like, I can help you, I can fix you.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you can't. But that might be, that would have to be more of a Clayface sequel, because that undoes like the murderous monster thing. Ignore everything I just said.
But it could just be, like, if Clayface was, if it was a first movie, Detective versus Clayface movie, he could be a recurring thing that shows up in like the third movie, where it's like you almost forgot about him, and he does something like personal, like he makes Batman think that he killed Alfred or something, or like, you know, like kidnap Alfred, and I don't know, like I'm trying to think, if he's a young Batman, he probably doesn't have a lot of personal connections, so I don't really know who Alfred's like the only one you can pull from or whatever, but yeah, like
I can dig it.
And then the only other idea I had is, while you're exploring that Arkham stuff, you can start laying seeds for the Joker if we want to redo that. I don't know entirely if that's the best route to go, but if they do, then it has to be a death in the family, which means you have to set up like Robin in movie 2 so that he can be killed in movie 3, so that you can like, so it's if they want to go that route, which would be so crazy to see, it requires a lot of groundwork to lay out, and I don't know if that's the route they would want to go. So my third movie, now that I look at it, I don't like very much. I would love to see that, but like that's hard to build up to and hard to execute. I don't know.
I agree. I can kind of do without the Joker for a while, and I love the Joker. But
I'm super stoked to see what like Joaquin does, but I think it was an amazingly smart idea to just be like, we're just gonna do a movie and just like have fun with it and not worry about build up or groundwork.
This is one thing that I can say, so one of the rumors with this Matt Reeves movie is going to take place in the 90s.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if I had heard that.
And
is that so technically he grows up to be Ben Affleck?
I have no idea. I've started treating the DC movies much like I treat comic books, where I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Of course it doesn't. It's a comic book. Whatever. Moving on.
That's how they need to start treating it, which it seems to be the way they're going.
They look like they're shifting that way. But one note with the night. So I don't need this Gotham Batman is directly tied to every single villain. He's directly related to their friggin' birth. Like, right, I have no problem with it being like, because they made the comics like Batman's like, oh, like, you may not have caused them all, but your presence has caused them all. Not like, oh, hey, I pushed you into the pit, and oh, I couldn't save you, so you became crazy. And I accidentally hit your cat with my Batmobile when I was chasing the Joker,
Right.
and like crap like that.
I do just like the idea that like antagonists come up to oppose
Yeah,
him as a force, but it's like, which is kind of funny that the examples I used were Thomas Wayne Jr. and I can't remember the name of Hush.
That's
but like people who are directly connected to him, right? It's I don't need him. I don't need them to be cousins.
But
or
those
like
two make sense because like a childhood friend and potentially a brother that his parents tried to hide.
And then he might be lying about it too, right?
Yeah.
There's like layers to that. Like,
yeah, and like I just like the notion of like, okay, we've got this crazy, the good side, the light side's got this crazy unbalanced force. The evil side's going to get one. It's like the line from Dark Knight, like, oh, we start wearing body armor, they start buying armor-piercing bullets.
Right.
Like, they don't need to be like, oh, I couldn't save you, Harvey. This is why you're Two-Face. Keep him that way. But using that as an example, like, Batman doesn't need to be directly related to every villain. Mm-hmm. But if it's done in the 90s, the Joker movie takes place in the 80s.
Oh, so you think, like...
Potentially they could have set this up.
If the Joker movie goes really well, and if Joaquin can be thrown enough money to stick with it, then...
They could just be like, yeah, come on over.
Could be.
But, I mean, for all we know, they're going to be like, Batman, 1999... But
I don't really know what setting it then would do for the movie.
I don't know.
Because then it could be like no one has cell phones except Batman because he's rich and he has the technology or whatever. Because is it just because it's that much harder to be like, what sweet tech does Batman have that everyone else doesn't already have access to?
Possibly.
I don't know.
Could be.
Any other story beats you had lined out?
All right, so I didn't map out 3 movies like Graham did.
Apparently I didn't either.
But you still had like a rough idea for the 3. I had more. I guess the one thing I would like to see, and I don't know how you would do it. The Long Halloween would be fantastic because that leans in the detective work and will frustrate viewers to no end.
Yeah,
because readers are still trying to figure out that story.
And that's one that I specifically have read that you lent me years ago, and like incredible, amazing comic.
I told my mother to read it.
God, that's got to be so difficult to adapt, but like. If you could fit that in as like a movie 2 or 3, after you've already started introducing some of these people, like the villains or whatever.
Well, the thing is, if you were to like, say Robert Pattinson signs on for like 9 movies, like Chris Evans did.
Can you give like I guess we throw that out there. Can you give like a 4 or 5 sentence or something, like 30-second? What is the plot of The Long Halloween?
It's a bunch of...
Unless you were getting into that anyway.
No,
sorry. Okay.
No. If I remember, The Long Halloween was a bunch of murders that took place over a year, and they kept occurring on holidays. Mm-hmm. And it was a way that they could do a 12-issue arc on a holiday for each month.
Right.
And Batman can't figure it out to the point that there's 2 shooters.
Okay, so it had a little bit of like that Who Shot Mr. Burns feel or whatever, but then the actual Halloween was like the 12th. It would have been the 12th murder or whatever, right? So, yeah. And like, doesn't Batman go up against every major villain?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it was a miniseries done. It was a standalone story, and every villain's in it basically.
Yeah,
and so each issue he clashes with a different villain.
And it's that same sort of thing of like he is just getting run ragged, right? Because it's like just non-stop. Everyone comes at him all at once, like.
And they made a sequel to it called Dark Victory.
Oh, I'm completely unfamiliar with that.
Dark Victory introduces Robin.
Oh.
And it ties back to... It takes place like 2 or 3 years later after The Long Halloween, and all of a sudden there's another slew of murders being done in the exact same way as The Long Halloween. So now Batman's like, wait, I didn't get the guy? Mm-hmm. And I think it's in Dark Victory where they kind of pay off. They're like, yeah, no, you guys don't know who did the killings. Because like it's just there's constant red herrings, and he's going around, and yeah, it's just a great read. Mm. But I think that movie would be very hard to do. But I can dream.
There's a lot of detective potential in there, at least.
The one idea I had for a movie to start, because I mean we covered Court of Owls and Clayface. I agree that should be a new villain. I even threw out Professor Pig.
He's like brand new, isn't he? Like last 5 years or something, or like 10 years or something.
Within the last 10 years, and he's a lunatic.
Yeah, it's
unhinged lunatic.
Yeah, it's the type of like sadistic, violent shit that like Joker is at his worst, and they just like didn't they just roll the character out that's just like
that's him.
He didn't build up to that.
That's just him. Yeah,
on a good day.
Yeah, like you meet him and he's wearing like a friggin' like butcher's robe. Or apron. He's got this weird, grotesque pig mask, and he's just mutilating bodies and like stitching people together.
Yeah.
And he's also putting like doll masks on people.
Man, if they're willing to do an R Batman,
yeah,
you can't adopt that. You can't adapt that softly.
I don't know how it would work, but I was to the point that when he debuted, there was a guy that I barely knew that came up to me. He was like, "Have you read the new Batman comic? Is Pig not amazing?" And I was like, "He's terrifying." And he was like, "Cool. I just want to make sure we're on the same page." And then he pieced off. One of the ideas I wrote down was going back on building from. Criminal perspective, it'd be kind of cool to do one from Gotham's perspective. Like, just do it from like Gordon, like, and I know it's kind of the Gotham
when
TV
you
series.
When you say Gotham perspective, do you mean like the
GCPD?
Gotham,
yeah. Just the notion of like maybe it's Batman in his early days and he hasn't quite done the deed of becoming friends with Gordon, and it's the cops going like, "Who is this guy?"
I think you're pitching Todd McFarlane's
Spawn movie.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm aware.
Okay. If they set this movie up and do like the Batman #1 with Matt Reeves, and another director comes in with that cast, and like Batman's hardly in it at all, and we like you can do it down the line, but if they want to do world building, have a Gordon movie.
Very much wanted it on the ground. So you weren't. It was more of that like enclosed, claustrophobic. You're like, oh my god. I think it'd be kind of interesting Batman from that perspective, but maybe not for a whole movie.
I don't know. You could play around with something like that if you want to get that side.
But that'd be like, we've made billions of dollars. We're just gonna fucking make this thing.
Make a $30 million budget movie or whatever. That's
what I would really like to see for this first movie, just to be different, make it kind of like. You've touched on a bit like Breaking Out of Arkham, but you don't need to do it where it's him necessarily like, going up against like 8 or 9 rogues. But do like a one night. The movie takes place one night. Sort of like Judge Dredd raid kind of thing.
Ooh, I'm sold. Do it.
Where like he's fighting his way through, and like you can strip it down where he doesn't have all of his toys. Arkham Asylum kind of did that when you first start off. Like as you're going along, you start accessing the internet. You can call Alfred and be like, "Send me the fucking bat rocket launcher. I gotta get through this door." But like when you start off,
like the movie, nothing. Like if the situation is sprung on him, so he's using his backup suit and gear or whatever. He doesn't have the full arsenal.
Or like we've got an early Batman, and if it's in the '90s, he's gonna have batarangs, his smoke bombs.
Like maybe he just doesn't have everything.
The grappling gun, like he's still developing stuff.
Yeah,
he's got the 10,000 crates of masks that Alfred's beating with a crowbar in the Batcave. Right. But yeah, do it where it's like him battling his way through to get to somebody. If we want to go for just a really twisted take on making a new villain, make the villain Zaz, and it's Bruce trying to save like the mayor's daughter, and Penguin's hired Zaz to murder her.
I did put a casting for Zaz on my list. He is going to be in that Birds of Prey movie. He's technically cast. I looked that up just this morning.
I keep forgetting that movie exists.
Yeah, I wish it didn't.
I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it, but I
don't know. The teasers they've shown are weird as hell, and I think I'm mad because when I pulled up my year-old fan cast list, I had Ewan McGregor on it as a completely different character. I think I had him as Harvey Dent or something. And anything they've shown of us, he's wearing like a V-neck and aviators or whatever, and he's like, I'm the Black Mask. And I'm like, that's fucking dumb.
I had Michael Keaton as the Black Mask.
Ooh. I have some sort of weird, like, if you can cast Christian Bale in these movies, or if you can cast Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man or whatever, like, I don't know what
Tobey
it is.
Maguire's Uncle Ben.
But yeah, like, there's something about that really...
Because I think Black Mask was one of the characters I was kind of like pumped for just doing different things, and I just really wanted Michael Keaton and just be like, look at Batman, go, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
That would be awesome.
I know it's dumb and it's meta, but my god.
But the movie's old enough, right, that you're like catering to like such a niche that I don't think it's like so on the nose that people would be like, oh, come on.
I think it was Kevin Smith talking about it. He's like, you can just hear Jack Nicholson rolling his eyes going, shit, the kid wants to act with me. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, but like I think it'd be cool to do like a one night only storyline.
I do like that
because that way, like, you get introduced to Batman, you get to introduce how he's just goal driven. He's gonna go all night to save this person. You can introduce a new villain. You can keep it a small cast.
It's very. I like the idea because the thing you keep coming back to of like on the ground. It's not like Batman and then Bruce Wayne and then at the Batcave and then going on the thing and then going to a party and then I'm going to be Batman again. It's like the movie starts as him as Bruce Wayne being Bruce Wayne and I don't know. We could be introduced to what the Batcave looks like or whatever, just to give people a sense of what that stuff is because people want to see that. But then like wherever this kicks off,
Alfred. He's on the radio.
That's true. Yeah, give that. But like it kicks off 15 minutes in and we have a 2-hour movie of him.
Okay, opening, friggin'. Play the... If we're not going to do the... Actually, screw it. We'll include my original opening of him taking out the robbers.
I still like that.
Take out the robbers. Friggin' he turns around, Batman flashes. I'm trying to think of a comparison of music video where it's like probably a Taylor Swift one where like the name of the video plays and you can see her through the words.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And like he like walks out and he looks, bat symbol. Then you can do all the credits and maybe you can do cuts of him like traveling through Gotham. He gets to Gotham PD. There's Gordon. You meet your Gordon. And he goes, we've got a situation. Mayor's daughter's been kidnapped. We don't know where she is. This is the only clue we have. Enter detective work. He's radioing to Alfred. He's searching Gotham. Start your role of him fighting through people, doing detective work.
Do you think it would be detective, goon, detective, goon, eventually getting to Zaz, or would you sprinkle in like he has a run-in with Scarecrow, he has a run-in with blah blah blah? Maybe not those specifically because we've seen it before, but like
I guess it depends on who hired Zaz, because it might be they hired a couple heavies.
That's the thing that I'm still the most torn on for this movie, is I do not know what they're going to do and what I want in terms of one singular villain or like 6.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't know which I prefer. Because either way, it's going to bank on the competency of the directing and the filmmaking, the writing and everything. I don't know.
We'll find out.
In like 6 years or whatever this finally gets made.
Ben Affleck's actually Batman again by that point.
God damn. At that point, he can just be old Batman.
Yeah,
and they can bring
make
in
Batman Beyond.
Bring in Batman Beyond, yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be cool to just do that. Like, it's a very, like, the one night only thing, not like a big roving, like, multiple day. You can kind of keep it on the ground. Even if he's taking on a supernatural villain, you can still do it in one night.
It gives you a lot to expand on in a movie, too. You don't, when you're, like, raising the stakes, they can...
Yeah.
It's a lot higher than that.
It's not like, I stopped Joker from blowing up the city. All right, now I have to stop friggin' Penguin from robbing a bank.
Yeah, if the very first movie starts with someone who is going up for, like, world domination, then it's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
I think that was everything. Oh, yeah, anything else for your movie plans?
I think all we have left is casting.
I think at that point it would just be casting the stuff.